お前は一体何なんだ。友達だ。
What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 4 of season 2, an incredibly special 2-part miniseries covering potentially the most iconic anime of all time. This is 3 out of 10 anime fans recommend you check out this podcast if you ever get reincarnated into another world, aka 3 out of 10 anime. This show is all about having fun conversations to rank anime based on a standard set of criteria so they can be compared, contrasted, and recommended. We discuss a different show or movie each week, so whether you're a seasoned weeb or new to the genre, we know you'll have a good time. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. Here's the agenda for each episode. We first summarize our feelings about the current show in one sentence. Then we jump into our personal enjoyment section, which is a scale of 1 to 10 on how much we enjoyed the show based on our own rubric. Then we jump into a technical assessment, which is a 1 to 10 ranking based on 4 criteria, where we collectively attempt to decide how technically good the show was. Then at the very end, we give some comparisons for other shows you should watch, recommendations, and announce next week's show. I'm Brett, and joining me this week are 2 special guests. We will be your hosts today from the United States. We each have varying opinions, tastes, and backgrounds, which should result in some interesting and relatable dialogue, no matter who you are. Joining me as special guests this week are Sonny and Tyler. Hey, guys.
Hello, I am apparently, I guess I would view myself as a seasoned weeb.
Yeah, all right, perfect. And we all know Sonny's our resident anime aficionado. He's watched way over 10,000 episodes. He's also an incredibly talented designer, artist, lover of video games, and anime tattoos. Welcome, Sonny.
Well, thank you.
Tyler is first-time guest, longtime friend, lover of video games, tech enthusiast, father, and soon-to-be father with a second on the way. Congrats, Tyler.
Thank you.
Okay, we're excited you guys are here. Welcome to the show. For those who are new or who have been here for a long time, you might be wondering, wait a second, where are Tyler and Braden? Those are the other 2 guys that traditionally make up the 3 out of 10 anime thing. Well, they're on a little bit of a break doing their own thing. The middle part of our season 2 is going to have each of us doing our own special episodes. Skylar and Braden didn't want to watch 1,000 episodes of Naruto, so I got my 2 friends who have seen it to join me. Today, we are covering, as I mentioned, Naruto. We are doing the original shonen series, all episodes, 220. Next week, we are going to cover Naruto Shippuden. So, spoiler warnings for this episode. We open the whole kimono and leave nothing out. Also, there could be some mature content, blood and action violence if anyone hasn't seen the show and decides to watch. But without further ado, let's jump in. Tyler, Sonny, how would you guys summarize your feelings about Naruto, the original series, in one sentence?
Ooh, it's pretty much my childhood and growing up. Actually, it's a new era of shonen, that is now led to. It's like the grandfather of shonen, besides the grandpa Dragon Ball Z, pretty much.
All right. Tyler, how would you summarize your feelings about Naruto in one sentence?
So, with Naruto not including Naruto Shippuden, I would describe it as a very good introduction to a very, I guess, grounded and well-developed story. But Naruto not Shippuden is kind of I call it the introduction. I don't. It's hard for me to view it as a complete show.
Okay, sweet. All right, my feelings about Naruto. I love to hate, to love to hate, to love to hate Naruto. That's my one sentence. That's
Okay.
my feeling.
Okay.
So let's jump into our rankings. So just as a heads up for anyone, you can find our personal rubrics of our regular hosts, me, Skylar, and Braden, on 310anime.com, 310anime.com. We rank it 1 to 10. So first, let's go around the horn. I'll go first since I left off. So what did I give the original Naruto on a scale of 1 to 10 for personal enjoyment? I gave the original Naruto a 6.5. So for me, a 6 is a good show that has enough positive things to keep me watching, but there's enough negative things for me that it really causes me a high level of disinterest, or it just lacks excitement for me. A 7 is a great show, I think, that keeps me interested, entertained, and engaged, but it has things that seriously bother me, or it didn't really suck me in. So the original Naruto sits kind of right between there at a 6.5 for me. Tyler, where would you rate Naruto on a scale of 1 to 10 for just enjoyment?
I put it at a 7. So about the same as you. A 7 for me is like really good, worth watching, probably won't watch again. And this is just for the first set of Naruto. It was, I think, like I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it. There was a fair few moments, kind of like what you said, where I was just like, either this isn't necessary or this doesn't interest me at all. And this isn't including filler. I'm just including main story. And so
Oh, yeah.
it has quite a bit of weaknesses, but it also has a really good, like I mentioned in my original sentence, like it is a great introduction to this world that we're going to be exploring, especially with Shippuden. But it's not something like that I would really go back and watch again.
All right. All right. Cool. Sony, what would you give the original Naruto 1 to 10?
Out of 10, okay, my childhood Naruto like obsession probably gave it a 10, but like I have rewatched Naruto like probably 3 times already, and so it does have rewatchable content for me back then. But now with so much more anime and getting more, I think it's like I still would willing to rewatch some episodes for their specific shows or scenes, clips and stuff like that. So it's down to a 7 for enjoyment right now. Like overall, like great experience, but I feel like there's so much better anime now.
So we're all like right in that range there of 6.57. Really interesting. So let's talk about it. Why did we give it a 6 to a 7? Why are we in that range? And I'm going to let someone else start because I think you all know where I'm going to start. So Sony, like what are some things that brought it to that 7 for you?
Okay, so originally it was a 10 because at that time it broke anime like all over the place. It's like it's a different like a childhood genre, kid genre that was kind of epic, and but it wasn't afraid to be like bloody and stuff like that. But I think what brought it down for me is going back after multiple times to rewatch it. It's just there's so much filler. So like nowadays, like we have anime that are short seasoned, and it's short season for a reason. Like it's short season, and we can wait a year for it instead of like I know Naruto was like a long like week by week, but at that same time, week by week was entertaining. But at the same time, we're just stuck with a filler and forced to watch it instead of being able to skip it.
Yeah, I think to your point, technology has actually completely changed how we consume shows. Like as soon as Netflix was invented, it was like you didn't need to like I remember when I was younger, I wasn't a kid, I was early teens, and Avatar The Last Airbender was coming out. And I remember every single week I was like, "Oh, I got to tune in and see the new episode of Avatar." So I'm just going to use that to say 2 quick things of like I'm going to rage about a few things about Naruto, and I think Sony hit on a really good point, which is I didn't watch Naruto as a kid. I didn't watch it when it was coming out. I have no nostalgia factor.
Fair.
Like I watched it as an adult, like a whole grown man. So I don't have the nostalgia thing to like lean back on. And it was also one of the first shows I watched. So anyway, this show is 41% filler. 41%. That is, to me, that is insane. And painful and so hard to enjoy watching because it was one of the first shows I didn't know about animefillerlist.com. I didn't know you could skip 41% of the show, so I
Oof.
watched it in agony and I hated it. I hated myself until I got to episode like 150 and I was like, nothing's going, what's happening? So I started Googling and I went to Reddit and someone was like, oh yeah, use animefillerlist.com. And then I found out episodes 143 to 219 are all filler.
Okay,
Yep.
I get how you're feeling.
That's 70 episodes. That's 70 episodes of filler in a row. Oh my gosh, my mind was blown at that point.
So you get a part of how I felt as a kid, but I waited a week, and sometimes they would go on vacation break, and I had to wait 2 to 3 weeks to wait for a filler episode.
Oh, actual agony. I'm in actual agony.
So
So,
that's what dropped it down so much. Is because, like you said, 41% of the was fillers. So, I love all the characters and everything, but that to make the story go straight forward, yeah, it was non-existent there. Not until more Shippuden time. But no, first half Shippuden is pretty much the same. But we won't talk about that right now.
Yeah.
So I watched it as a grown man as well. So I have no nostalgia factor. My 7 out of 10 does not include the filler. I just completely just remove it from my mind. I did watch every episode. I hated the 80 episodes of filler, whatever there are. Flashbacks I'm actually very okay with. But that comes from from Shippuden. I started watching Shippuden week by week, about a third of the way through. And so I would need those recaps because it's like, okay, I saw this 10 episodes ago. It's like, yeah, but that was like 2.5 months ago for me, so I don't remember it. But filler, I am very anti-filler. I pretend it doesn't exist. I did watch it all, but anytime I recommend this show to my friends, I'm like, go look up this list and skip all of them. You are not missing a single thing.
Yeah. You actually brought up a good point. I actually hated the flashbacks, both in the original Naruto and in Shippuden.
There's so much.
It's egregious. In Shippuden, there are some episodes that are 70% flashback.
So
I was like in pain. Now, granted, I mentioned earlier, technology has changed how we watch these shows because I was binging Shippuden, right? I was watching like 5 episodes a day. You know, I'm a busy guy, so that's a lot for me. But I can see how for someone who never watched the original Naruto or who's watching it week to week, that might not be as annoying. But for me, it was killer.
yeah, on my second and third watch through, I was definitely in that camp. But my third one I watched. So my wife has seen all of Shippuden and hasn't seen any of the first Naruto, and she said, I don't feel like I missed anything from the first Naruto because the flashbacks, cover so much. And that's kind of part of what dropped my rating of Naruto is I was like, when you can watch its essentially sequel and get the entire show by watching the sequel, like how necessary is the first show? I don't know. That's why I gave it a 7 because I was like, I still enjoyed it. It still got great things, but it's not a very strong standalone.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, there's so many things that another thing for me personally, I am okay with longer form content, but there gets to be a point for me where I'm just I'm sick of it. I need stuff to move on. Even with let's reference another show like My Hero Academia. I gouge my eyes out sometimes because I'm like, just move the story forward, please. I don't need another 6 episodes of drawn out, repetitive, blah, blah, blah. So I guess that was something that I'm just not personally one to enjoy long form, fairy tale, One Piece, Naruto. That's just not my vibe that much.
I actually dropped out of My Hero Academia after the second season for that reason. I know there's 4 or something out. I pushed through it in Naruto, not necessarily because of the nostalgia, but I guess the first time through I kind of pushed through it because I had nothing better to do. I wasn't very busy at the time, but the second
Uh-huh.
and third part, I'm like, I know how great this story gets, and so I am willing to be patient with it. But yeah, with regular Naruto, just like the first one, I don't know, it's really good. I watched like, I was like went back over some stuff and I'm like, oh yeah, there were these really cool moments, but there were moments, and then there was like some really like oof sections, and it doesn't help that it was very much tailored to like a 10 to 12-year-old boy audience.
Yeah. Fair. You know what? I just kind of came up with an analogy for myself for Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. So for me, I was so fed up with like the long. I not fed up. I was just so exhausted from the super long, 220 episodes of Naruto that it took me a year before I was like, okay, now I can start Shippuden. Like I'm not burnt out of Naruto anymore. It reminds me of like a really intense like Swedish massage
Okay.
where like it's good, like it's good and it hurts, and sometimes it hurts so bad that you're like, I really don't want to do this. But then when you're done, you're like, okay, yeah, that was like, yeah, it was a good thing, but like I don't want to get one of those for a long time. You know what I
A
mean?
good burn.
That's kind of how Naruto was for me.
I hit that point with Boruto where I finished Naruto and I'm like, I love Naruto, and I looked at Boruto and I was like, nope. I've gotten about
I am
40
not
or
even
50.
going to attempt.
I got 40 or 50 episodes
Even though I was left horrifically angered at the end of Shippuden, I will not watch Boruto. And we'll talk about that next week.
time. Yeah, next week.
Yeah. Anyway, let's keep going on Naruto. What things did we like? I mean, we've talked about like things we don't like long form, the filler, etc. Which, by the way, Shippuden I think is actually worse at filler than the original Naruto, because the original Naruto is 41% filler, but it's all
in one chunk.
It's all the last 80 episodes. Shippuden, it's like you have a filler arc. How many filler arcs are there? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. There's like 24 filler arcs. Like,
yeah, some of those are only like 2 episodes.
But still, that's way too. Okay, anyway. So, what things did we like about Naruto?
I love the introduction to the characters. I really like Naruto's introduction. His personality needed a lot of work, but there was a solid foundation there. I love Kakashi. He's one of my favorite anime characters, just in general.
Oh, Kakashi is the best. I love Kakashi.
In fact, the only filler episode I recommend out of any of the ones is there's one where they do finally show his face. Spoiler warning. Kakashi's pretty hot. Kakashi's amazing.
There's 3 filler arcs you should watch. 1 where they show his face. 2, young Kakashi. That's
True,
a filler
yep.
arc. Kakashi Shadow of the Anbu Black Ops in Shippuden. You should absolutely watch that one.
That one's barely a filler arc because
Are you talking about-
it shouldn't even be a filler arc. It's like better than half of the show.
Are you talking about
It's so
Kakashi
good.
Gaiden?
What?
Is it Kakashi Gaiden? Like his childhood?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's canon. It was in the manga too.
Oh, it's marked as filler.
Oh. Maybe
don't
it's a
know.
repeat. Okay.
Anyway.
Itachi is one of my absolute favorite characters. I love how they handled him in Naruto, where he felt like a bad guy. He didn't feel like a bad guy that was bad for the sake of being bad. Like, you very much could tell, okay, he's got something going on. He's got goals and plans and whatever, which I think is the sign of a good bad guy. And then they actually have the real protagonist of Naruto, which is Iruka-sensei. Because without him, none of Naruto happens. So really, he's the protagonist. That's what me and my wife love to say.
Yeah, that's how Shippuden even ends. It's all about him.
So, I like the groundwork that it did with the characters. I think it set up a lot of things. It set expectations for Sakura, how she's always going to be useless.
Oh man, I was so sick of Sakura. Every time I was like, come on, she's got to do something. 220 episodes and she does nothing the whole time.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Like watching the recaps of some of it, it was like, and Sakura is doing something. We don't really know what. She's there.
Oh man, it was painful. It was painful. Actually, on that note, I'm gonna mention it next week. First story arc of Shippuden, I really, really loved because it was all about Sakura, and then she went back to being practically useless. But whatever.
Yeah. So I do love that. It set up a couple of villains actually, like
Mhm.
Orochimaru. I love how they handled him and being like weird, right? You're like, what is going
Yeah.
on with this guy? Just kind of weird and bizarre. But it didn't feel like I'm gonna take over the world and kill everybody in it. It was like, okay, he's got his own goals. He's just weird.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I got to throw in there Jiraiya.
Oh yeah.
I love Jiraiya. Oh, he's so good. And
He's
like
the best uncle.
anytime I watch a show now, and I'm like, oh, that's Jiraiya. Like I know his voice actor now.
Oh
I'm like,
yeah. No,
oh.
I actually looked up his voice actor and the shows that he voice acted and went and watched those because he only is part of good ones, I swear.
Yeah. In fact, we did an anime episode a couple weeks ago where he was in there. What was it?
Was it Tower of God?
No. Anyway, I'll remember later. But we did an episode here that he was in. So anyway,
Yeah. So I love the characters. I think that's what carries the show. I think some of the plot is kind of not irrelevant, but it's kind of like whatever.
Yeah.
But it needed to set up the characters, and I'm glad it did because then going into Shippuden, you've got a good foundation for who they are. But yeah, that's kind of what carries the show for me. That's what I really liked about it.
yeah. I think a lot of the characters were super good. I was actually surprised how much I got into the characters during the hurry, let's go save Sasuke from the 4 sound ninjas part.
Oh,
where,
yeah.
like Choji had his one-on-one and Neji had his one-on-one, and I thought they died, right? But they didn't. And then that's when I came to realize that Naruto as a series is kind of gutless in having consequences, and people are just gonna magically be okay all of the time, except for like the 3 times they're not. So anyway, yeah, I was surprised how much I like the side characters too. And Gaara is probably my favorite character in Shippuden.
Oh really?
I think so. Dude, Gaara, his dynamic character growth through the entire series is just really, really cool.
Yeah,
Really cool.
they handle him really well. My
Yeah.
only thing with him is it felt like he did too quick of a 180, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. But
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
where it was like I don't get me wrong, I love the character too. But yeah, he very much did like a okay, I'm gonna be good now 180, and so
True.
that kind of was like
All it took was one of Naruto's powerful speeches, and then he was just back. Which, by the way, that's a shout out to Summo Gaming, a great YouTube channel. People should check out. He has recaps of Naruto and Shippuden. You should definitely watch him.
powerful speeches.
Rest in peace. Sony, what were some of the things you really liked about Naruto?
What I liked, well, to me, it was like I think okay, going back to nostalgia for me, I was like
Yeah.
10 years old when it came out, so like it jumped from Dragon Ball Z, which was like these guys are adults ish, or I'm like I can't relate to them, but jumping to a bunch of 10-year-old kids or 12-year-old kids, I'm like this is relatable. That's why I really liked it for as a kid when I first started. I really liked it because of that. It also brought different structure because instead of it's still all about who has the most power, but has a lot more strategy now because you got like Shikamaru
Yeah.
and like his techniques and stuff like that, and we're going from taijutsu, genjutsu, and ninjutsu, like all the 3. Like
True.
it's different in a way. Like I don't know. It's more technique rather than overkill power. Strength can do it all, or something like that.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true. Which, by the way, side note, I tried watching Dragon Ball Z
Oh,
as an
I
adult.
can't.
Oh man, it's painful. Like the
Yeah.
nostalgia factor has to be there, or you're just
It
not
has to be
you're
there.
not gonna be able to make it.
It has to
I
be there.
tried. I don't think I made it through 5 episodes. I was just like, oh, I can't.
I made it all the way through Goku coming back to life and
Doesn't he come back
Vegeta
to life
starting
like 7
his
times?
transformation. I mean the first time in
Oh.
Dragon Ball Z Kai. Anyway, okay. Back to Naruto.
I mean, it's also super. Like, I love all the techniques, like the variety of all the 5 like elements. Is it 5? I don't remember anymore. But it's
Technically 7, but 5
7.
main elements.
Right.
They don't
They
really
have
talk about light
the
and
branch
shadow.
offs, right? But like, it brings so much more technique, so which like brought an element of like Pokemon to me too. So I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it for that. Like it's like it's like human Pokemon.
Yeah.
All the characters
Totally.
are great. Like honestly, like I still remember so many of the characters' names after 20 years. It's crazy.
Mm,
And
yeah.
I like if someone references a new character's name, I'm like, instead of a new show, like I can't catch it, even though it's like one of my favorite shows like currently or something like that. It's like, what was his name? But Naruto, bring it up. It's been 20 years. I still can't get up with it. Like still know everyone's names and stuff like that. Uh, it's my childhood, so I was going back for other things I like. The music was just always great for me too. It's like,
Oh yeah. Classic.
yeah, I think I had that as a ringtone for the longest time. It's like, are you emo?
Yeah.
No, maybe.
No, I'm glad you brought up like the techniques because I do like that there is an actual magic system, right? Not just
Yeah.
use body power, right? It's like no, you have this, nature combined with this, your energy from here, and I love how it was actually kind of explained. Where I think a lot of shows just kind of wave it under the rug, like don't think about it too much. They can just do these things.
Right.
Oh, it was explained. There was a lot of explaining in Naruto, and
Sort
that
of-
was one of the things that hurt me a little bit. Like, I get at the time and the constraint. Like, okay, it's also Sony. You referenced this in your one sentence. It's really really hard for Naruto in terms of like action and animation and everything to stand up over time. You have to kind of take it at the time that it was made.
Correct.
Mhm.
But I'm not really a huge fan of like 2 punches, exposition, 2 punches, exposition, 2 punches, explanation. And
Mhm.
Naruto does that a lot.
It
Like
does. Yep.
it's everything about Naruto is slow, slow, slow. And for me personally, it was too slow for my tastes, you know.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like a Brandon Sanderson novel, right? Brandon Sanderson
Mm,
loves to explain exactly how the magic works, like that, like almost to the
mhm,
point of tedium in some books. I personally
mm,
like it, so that's why I think in this show I really appreciate that because it's something that, like, I like knowing how does this work. Um,
mhm.
so for me, I can see how that would be a negative for somebody who doesn't like that, but for me, I find myself watching shows and being like, okay, where's the Naruto explanation of how their magic actually works? Because
Mhm.
right now it's just kind of wave a
Fair.
stick and things happen.
Uh-huh. Fair. You know, I really enjoyed like the main arcs of the story, right? Like
Hmm.
I enjoyed the first arc. I think the first arc of Naruto is one of the best, right? Where
Hmm.
the bridge arc.
Hmm.
I really love the bridge arc, and then they go into a training arc, and then they have the Orochimaru and the snakes attacking, and the third Hokage sacrificing himself. Like that moment was amazing.
Hmm.
I even though like there was a big critical fail in that moment for me, but I think all of the main story arcs of the show were just so cool. Zabuza's last moment with like
Mm.
fighting with the kunai in his mouth, like I really like the main
Uh,
story beats of Naruto. I think they were really good. Like I'm definitely gonna remember them for a long time.
Haku is still one of my favorite characters.
except for it is 100% a girl, and I refuse to believe otherwise.
Rest in peace.
I refuse to accept anything about that being a guy because they played it off as a girl, except for like the 3 times where they said he instead of she. I was like, no, don't try and do this to me.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm with you. Like I remember the first, where they introduced Naruto and then the Bell exam. I loved the Bell exam. And then, yeah, the Naruto bridge. That is Naruto to me. When you say, "Oh, what did you think of Naruto?" I'm like, those first ones, right? Because that's where you
Yeah.
introduce the characters, you set everything else up. And if you watch that first bit, honestly, everything else it fits. But that's like the critical moment of Naruto for me is that first arc.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's fair. And Naruto's also easier to get into because there is no filler in the first part of Naruto. It flows pretty well as a story, and it's easy to follow, and it doesn't feel hiccupy like Shippuden can. Like the first filler in Shippuden is 57 to 70, which seems like it's a long way in, but Shippuden is like 500 episodes long, so it's right in the beginning. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I mean, the first filler in Naruto is 26, but it's one episode, and then
Right.
97, and it's one episode, and that's it. So you really just kind of flow through it.
Yeah, they had
Yeah.
they just had the subject material ready to go when they started the show. Whereas then
Yeah.
they're like, oh wait, the show is huge. Hang on, we got to get the writer to pick his pace up.
We got to wait for the manga to come out. Okay, now we can make the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I talked about a critical failing. Sony, were you going to say something, by the way, before I go?
I don't know. If it's like related, but like I think for me, I was like enveloped in it growing up as well because I had. It's probably just not the show, but like it helped enhance the show. I'm not sure if that helps or not. Or we're just strictly talking about the show.
No, go for it.
Because I grew up like because they also continually made games and video games for it. Like I played every single video game of Naruto that like okay, to be fair, I did hate the part that it recapped the whole they pretty much made episode to episode in the game over again. And I would have to rewatch the game to get through the story. And I did well, I mean, all the games were fun, but like you get to play all the jutsus and everything, and like it made me relive the game, like the show again. I don't know. I played every game up to like the Wii U probably of Naruto.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's a good point. I think a lot of people will resonate with that. I'm gonna mention a couple things. Like, okay, so I already mentioned one moment. So in the bridge arc, when Naruto and Sasuke are fighting Zabuza, and Sasuke throws the big
Shuriken.
Oh yeah.
and then Naruto pops out of it. I was like, oh, that was cool. Like that's one of those quintessential Naruto moments, right?
Right.
It's just like so awesome. However, what really started to grate on me is that same that same really cool moment was turned into a gimmick throughout the show because they used it so much.
Yep.
It was like, let me guess how he's gonna get out of this one. Shadow clone jutsu or a transformation jutsu. Oh, I was right. Like it started to get really old, and I agree that there were some moments that were like, oh, the strategy was really cool. Like when Naruto came out from underground in during the Chunin exam arc, and he like uppercutted, who was it, Neji?
Yeah.
He uppercutted Neji and like won that round. I was like, okay, that was strategic. That was kind of cool. But a lot of the time it was like either shadow clone jutsu or transformation jutsu, and then a really powerful speech to hype himself up, and then he just used one of the moves he already knew harder.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it really got to be gimmicky for me, and like it lost a lot of its originality and flavor because it's like, and I think that's why I liked the arc so much, where we got to see the other Hidden Leaf Ninja fighting the Sound Ninja, like I mentioned, Choji and Neji, because we got to see their strategy be so different than Naruto's, which was just Shadow Clone Jutsu. Yay, it worked. Or, oh, it didn't work 3 times, but it'll work this last time. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. He pretty
Well,
much
and
was
I
a
think-
Power Ranger.
I think that is probably the weakest part of Naruto is actually the combat. Ironically enough, is the combat has some really cool high moments, but then a lot of it is very like cut and paste different character model here. Where I think in Shippuden they kind of figured that out, but I think in Naruto they were trying to experiment with it. For example, like Rock Lee's drunken fighting style that you literally never ever see again. You see the one time and then it's gone, even though I'm like, that's the coolest one. Like, why
Yeah.
did you get rid of that? You know, so I think that's one of its weakest parts is actually the combat, which for like a fighting anime it doesn't quite make sense. But I think
Yeah.
the characters carry it so hard because of that, because you, especially, like you're saying with the side characters, like you do get to see their personalities come out through their fighting. But yeah, if you already know the character, the fighting kind of just ends up a little stale.
Yeah. Yeah. And the next thing that like I have to bring up, these are like I'm thinking of the major things I wanted to bring up. We could go on about Naruto for hours, but I mentioned when the third Hokage used the jutsu to try and take Orochimaru's life with his own,
Oh,
right?
yeah?
And then he only, whatever, only got his arms. I was like, okay, that's interesting. And then Orochimaru just changes bodies. And it was that moment that I was like, great, this is one of those shows where conveniently stuff's just gonna happen so the plot can move forward. And the character in Naruto I hate the most. And Naruto was introducing what was gonna become my least favorite part about Shippuden, which was Kabuto.
I did hate
Kabuto
Kabuto.
is like, I get so angry because Kabuto made it so that every other show in the world could use the excuse of, oh, well, if we need plot armor, we're just gonna throw in Kabuto. Oh, we need the bad guy to magically have something work out so they can be a threat again. Let's just sprinkle in some Kabuto. Oh, this person needs to suddenly be teleported to another part of the world. Let's just use Kabuto to come up with some new ability. I hate Kabuto in such a fiery way. I can't even explain it. Just thinking about him makes me furious. Like, what an awfully designed, horrible character. He's so cheap. And that's the laziest thing you can do as a writer is have a character that can just break all of the rules whenever you need them to so you can move the story forward.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh, I hate Kabuto so much.
So I'm less vehement about Kabuto as you, but I do understand. Like I don't particularly like him. But the part with Orochimaru shedding bodies. So I have pet snakes, and when a pet snake gets hurt, that is what they do. They will force themselves to go into shed and replace their. So I'm like, it makes sense on like a thematic level. I understand how as a story it's stupid, but like for me watching that, I'm like, they totally do that. They just like shed their, like they're hurt.
Yeah.
They shed. There you go.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Thematically, it makes sense. Story wise, not a good move.
Right.
I have a lot to say about Orochimaru in Shippuden, by the way. I just want to make it clear, though, for this week in Naruto, I think he was a very interesting, great villain. Super mysterious and, like, dark and creepy and weird. And a lot of his stuff is, like, unexplained, right? You're left wondering at the end of Naruto because you have the whole fight between the third Hokage and Orochimaru. And then Sasuke gets kidnapped gets kidnapped. He runs away to the Sound Ninja. And then there's that whole arc, and then Naruto and him fight, and then like the show's over. Like, you don't get to know anything else about Orochimaru, so you're left wondering so many things about him. So I think he's a good villain for Naruto.
Agreed. I did agree with that.
I want to clarify that before next week. I just absolutely go ballistic.
I got
on
bored
what
of
they did with Orochimaru.
Yeah, in Shippuden, he goes an interesting direction, but no, I agree. Good bad guy. I still think Itachi's my favorite bad guy, even in the show, because he is like. So you have Kakashi who can go toe to toe with a lot of people. He runs into Itachi and is put in the hospital like without moving. Like it's just like, oh my gosh, Itachi is so crazy and strong, and you have no idea what he's thinking, and he's wearing those robes and whatever. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that when you're like, you want to make a villain that gives you chills, like that's what you do.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And he was also crazy mysterious in Naruto. Like Naruto, it definitely felt long, but compared to Shippuden, it was pretty short, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
250 episodes compared to 500. Shippuden's twice as long, even though it has 40% filler. So anyway. Okay, any other last things like we want to talk about enjoyment wise for OG Naruto?
Oh, enjoyment. Okay, never mind. I was gonna get camel back on on your Orochimaru and Kabuto thing.
No, go for it. Go for it.
To be fair, I enjoyed Kabuto when he first came out. Like he was a
During the
unique...
tuning exam arc.
Right. He was
Yeah.
a very unique character, but then he became Team Rocket, and keeps popping up, and I'm like, that's him.
Yeah. And they didn't even explain why he resigned from the tuning exam arc. Like, what was he off doing? Like, there was no callback. To be fair, with the story in Naruto, Tyler, you mentioned this. There are a lot of things that they could have done in 250 episodes, and they could have tied up and they could have put bows on. Like, one of the things that makes me so angry about Naruto is they spent episode 143 to 219 doing filler when they could have thrown a couple episodes in, like tying up loose ends from the whole show and like leading into Shippuden.
Instead, they just said, nah, we're good. Skip.
Just wasted it. Yeah, like, and even like how all of the hidden leaf ninja survived. Like, Neji got shot in the stomach with an arrow, okay? And then he's just magically fine? Like, at least explain it a little bit. Like, yeah. Anyway. Okay. Anything else that you guys want to add in? Enjoyment, like, dislike for Shippuden or Naruto?
I think I'm ready to go to the technical section.
I can't think of anything else. I mean, I can say I liked it enough to get a tattoo.
I mean, there you go.
I mean, I have a hat. I gave it a 6.5 and I have a hat.
Right.
So like, you know, it's when I said I love to hate to love to hate, there's a
Right.
lot of things I just really like about it and I'm very fond of. But then there's other things that I just can't stand.
Right,
But I
right.
really do. Like, I really did enjoy Naruto. It pains me a little bit that I tell most people not to watch Naruto. I tell them, look, go watch a recap of Naruto, then go watch Shippuden.
And cut out
Don't
all
skip,
the fillers.
don't skip the flashback. Go watch Shippuden without fillers, and you'll get caught up on the OG Naruto.
Mm-hmm.
Watch a recap so you know going into it kind of where all the characters are at in terms of like chronology.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's what I tell people to do, and I almost regret it because like Naruto, OG Naruto was a good show. I did like it. I don't think I'd actually recommend someone watch it and then go watch Shippuden.
That's what I did with my wife. If it didn't have a show like Shippuden to follow up, I would say it's a show that everyone needs to see once.
Totally. Yeah.
But because it has Shippuden, it's like, you don't even need to see it. Go watch its sequel that's better.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, all right. Let's move on to our technical section. So a reminder for everyone, you can find our technical rubric on 310anime.com, 310anime.com. There's 4 categories here: art, characters, story, and delivery. We rank each one on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being terrible, 5 being exceptional, 3 is meh. Meh for everything is on par with what you would expect from a decent show. It doesn't stand out for being exceptionally good or bad. We always start with art. So, art includes music, animation, sound design, art style, intro and outro. 1, terrible. The composition is frequently ugly, messy, disjointed, bland, boring/repetitive, and poorly done. 5, exceptional. The composition is always beautiful, cohesive, fitting, engaging, notable, ambitious, and expertly performed. All right. What do you guys think about the music, animation, and art style for Naruto?
Well, for one, with the animation, depending on what was happening, they'd actually outsource it to different studios. So like the whole fight in the valley of
Mm-hmm.
with Madara and the first Hokage I hate that art style. That I give just a straight 1. I think it's ugly and horribly done.
Right.
But then there's some of it where I'm like, this is amazing. So like the art itself is actually all over the place because they kept sending it to different places to do the art and they couldn't agree on what they wanted done. So from animation point, I guess I'd put it at a 3 just because there are things that are really good, things that are bad, so kind of put it in the middle.
I can totally see where you're coming from there. What do you think, Sony?
I'm on a 4. To me, it was often beautiful, engaging. The music, okay, every single opening and ending for me is a jam, and I always have it on
That's
my
true.
anime playlist, and I always listen to it. And
That's
the
true.
background music was always, it made me emotionally go with it, and I love that.
That's true. I wasn't thinking music
Yeah.
with this. I
I
think the
will say
music
the
does
music
carry
is-
it to a 4. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the music is pretty good. Here's one thing that I need to remind myself of, because like we talked about, like, okay, first of all, they outsourced it to multiple studios, and Tyler, I agree with you. There were some times where I was like, this just does not look the same. Like the characters are moving different. Like what is going on? But I got to remember, so the TV series came out in 2002,
Correct.
right?
So
So
20th
what I'm
anniversary.
doing is I'm looking up, okay, what other anime came out in 2002, because I can't compare the animation in Naruto to anything from today. Like I can only compare it to things from the time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To get like how good the animation was. So like some of the anime that came out in 2002, in addition to Naruto, Full Metal Panic,
Ugh.
Galaxy Angel Z, Hack Sign, Inuyasha.
See, I look at it though, and then I go and watch something like Initial D, and I'm like, Initial D was made in the 90s, guys, and it looks more cohesive and like put together than like some of the stuff that you're outsourcing to experts. And it's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true. Yeah, true. Duel Masters. Mobile Suit Gundam Seed also came out in 2002. Anyway, so I'm just looking back at that to give myself a reminder of like, okay, what time era are we talking about here?
Mm-hmm.
Also, Pokemon the series Advanced. Am I doing that too? Yeah, I mean, as I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, was Naruto really, was it like ambitious? Was it something that was like really something unique and interesting at the time? When I think of Naruto, I guess I don't like think about the animation and the music. I think about the characters and the story,
Mm-hmm.
and the animation was good enough to drive those things home without being too distracting. Like I don't think the animation was bad. I'm just saying that.
Mm-hmm.
I see where both of you guys are coming from. I'm feeling more like a 3.5, mostly because I'm like, I don't remember any moments that like stood out for being really good. You know what I mean? I do remember things standing out for being not good.
So with sound design though, there's one thing I was thinking of. Think of what the Rasengan sounds like. You know
Yeah.
exactly what a Rasengan sounds like because
Yep.
they have this very unique, or the
Chidori,
True.
the screeching birds, Chidori.
Yep.
I mean,
The
Transformation jutsu, shadow
I
clone
can
jutsu.
still hear all the techniques and jutsus and everything, and I
Yeah.
can still hear the fight with Zabuza and everything.
Yeah. Zabuza, Rasengan.
I think So I think with that's why I think I'm bumping it to a 4 from a 3. I think the animation holds it back, but everything else, like the music and the sound and whatever, is so good, right? Like for me,
That's
like
true.
with sound design, if you can remember just the sounds of like little things, like what each ability sounds like, and you know it exactly when it happens. Like that to me is a well done sound, right? If it's
Yeah,
that
very true.
memorable,
Yeah, very true. Very true. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'd be willing to go to a 4. I will give one more pitch.
okay.
I will give one more pitch for bringing it down by half a point. And the only reason I'm making that pitch is because there were enough times in my mind that the animation was messy or boring and repetitive. Remember how we kept saying how like this is like a shonen fight anime, and the fights were often lame or boring or repetitive. There was so many repeated things, like I don't know. I like for me, I'm thinking if it's a shonen anime about ninja fighting, I just wish the fighting was better and it was often boring. So that would be my pitch to like bring it down half a point. But if you guys are still set on 4, I'll go there with you. What are your thoughts on that?
The thing is, like,
so
I can't group it all together because like bad is like ugly, messy, disjointed, boring, repetitive. Like, I think it can get slightly boring, but for me, I pushed through it because I want more. So I guess my mindset is
So-
like, it wasn't that boring. It was integrated as being part of it.
here's where I'll go with you, Brett. There's 5 categories within the art section, and only the animation do I feel like was lacking. So I'm like, if you give 4 out of the 5 a pass, that's why I put it at a 4.
I agree with that. Yeah.
All right. Hey, that's fair. That's fair. I'll go with you guys. We are giving OG Naruto a 4 for art. Okay. Let's next go into story. Story includes
Ooh,
plot,
okay.
Oof.
plot devices, tone/mood, continuity, world building, pacing, rules and systems, and tropes. 1, terrible. The story was frequently nonsensical, inconsistent, boring, confusing, ambiguous, unoriginal, and disappointing. 5, the story was always consistent, well paced, comprehensible, consummate, on point with tone and mood, and unique.
Oh,
My brain hurts.
That's the problem with this is like if you're gonna go with pacing, like 80 episodes of filler, my dude. Like, but at the
Yeah.
same time, but then saying the story is terrible doesn't feel right either.
Right.
Right.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. We're looking at it all together collectively.
The
So
problem-
let's go point by point, right? Maybe?
Well, my problem is it's so long. It's not a 24 episode anime. It's a 200 episode anime, which makes it a lot harder.
It's actually a 750 episode anime.
Okay, yeah. Well, we're going with
Because Naruto doesn't even like scratch the surface of the story. But yes, just Naruto.
See, okay, I would do it. See, if you look at a 2, get rid of disappointing, and it actually fits a lot of those. But at the same time, like there's just there's that X factor though of like, no, it actually was really good though. Like that isn't. It's hard to quantify.
Dude, I'm right there with you. I'm like, oh man.
Maybe
What are you gonna say, Sony?
maybe 2.5 because like to me, I mean it wasn't. I felt like it definitely was not disappointing or unoriginal for me for those parts, and like I'm trying to like look at the score and like, okay, I like the plot, the tone and mood, and world building, rules and system, but I mean it had like bad pacing and like continuality was like on and off, and plot devices and tropes and like so it's like so far I'm like 50-50 on everything, so it's like it's more like
I know.
between meh and
Me too.
but it's not
I'm giving
as bad yet, so it's 2.5 probably is like my idea here.
I'm going with a 3.5
Mm.
because I think the plot, the tone and mood, the world building, the rules and systems outweigh the negatives of the other one. Not
Okay.
to the point that I would say it's great, but I don't think like it just feels not genuine to say it was meh or bad because I mean we were even talking about it is a good story. It suffers from some things. A lot of it is a product of its time.
Yeah.
And so I think that if we're looking at how some of those work, I think the good outweighs the bad by a bit.
Fair.
I'm like I'm actually right there with you. I'm thinking the same kind of thing, but I keep remembering such big moments. Like, okay, I'm gonna like the end of Naruto, the last episodes, right? The very end of the show. First of all, 70 episodes of filler. And I just want to remind you guys what happens. So everyone goes and resumes their training, right? So that after they all get injured, after the whole chasing down the sound ninja, and Sakura has one episode where she's useful in 141, and then they all start training again. And then you have 75 episodes of filler. And then you have Naruto and Jiraiya leaving the village to go train for a long time, and it just, the ending of the show, especially with like the final fight between Naruto and Sasuke, I think it just felt so bad. The ending of the show just felt so horrible. It felt like they were leaving it off on such a weird note of like it just didn't lead into Shippuden at all. They just like kind of cut things off in the most awkward way. Like I don't know. Like maybe I'm just too salty about like the weird, horrible pacing that the show has at times.
See, in this moment, you go back and you remember Zabuza and that fight, and you remember the fight with between Rock Lee and Gaara. Like I don't know. See, like every time there are those bad ones, but like Rock Lee dropping his weights off of the statue is part of like his whole character. And I'm just like moments like that I'm like, that's why I gave it a 3.5, because, and this is me, I'm willing to look for the positives in it more than, and I'm just kind of more forgiving of the negatives. But
yeah, I mean, I agree with you. The world building in Naruto is pretty fantastic. It's the world building is really exceptional. The rules and systems, I would say, is okay. It's fairly good, but if we're being honest, anytime someone needs to be able to do something, it's 50-50 whether or not it's going to be like make sense with the magic system they developed, or they're just going to feel more and make it happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
It really is 50-50. I could go 3.5. I think I'm right there with you guys.
Oh, I was at 2.5.
You were at 2.5.
I was 2.5.
Okay, well, would you be comfortable going up to a 3.5, or would you stop at 3?
I think I might stop at 3 because that's a little more than half. It's about halfway for me because there's a lot of pacing continuality issues with myself, and like there's so many episodes of struggle there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, okay. Sony makes a great point. I know that the story that does exist is good, but if 41% of your show, almost half of your show, is nonsense that shouldn't exist, can I really say that it's that good? I don't know.
Then I bring up an idea. What if we cut off that 40 and just pretend it never happened, which is pretty easy to do? Then it becomes a very good story.
But the thing is, it does exist.
It does exist. I had to wait 2 weeks to watch a filler.
I mean, I could honestly go 3 or a 3.5. I could go 3 or 3.5. Tyler's at 3.5. Sony's at a 2.5. Tyler, would you be willing to go down to a 3, or are you firm at a 3.5?
Anywhere between a 3.5. I'm I understand either way. I put myself put it at a 3.5, but I think that's a me thing, not necessarily an objective thing.
Sure. So let's say this. First story, we give Naruto Shippuden somewhere between a 2.5 and a 3.5. It just so happens the middle is 3.
You may just Naruto, not Shippuden.
Sorry, not Shippuden. We give the OG Naruto somewhere between a 2.5 and a 3.5, and the middle is 3.
Yep.
Good enough.
Yep.
Okay. All right, sweet. So story is 3. Let's move on to characters. Characters includes their design, their development, their motivation, their action and inaction, relationships, and personalities. Terrible characters are frequently unreasonable, confusing, inconsistent, unreasonably static dynamic, and annoying. Exceptional characters are always understandable, consistent, reasonable, adequately static dynamic, and relatable.
Hey, just a reminder, we're gonna throw some Kabutos and Sakura actions in there for you.
Yes, they cannot be left out.
That's why I put it at a 4.
So Tyler's starting out with a score, no discussion.
No
All right,
discussion.
Tyler.
I'm putting it at a 4. I like. I mean, I've said the whole time it's carried by the characters. Like, and there's really 2 characters out of how big of a cast where you're like, okay, these are really big stinkers. But otherwise, like, there's so many good ones. We've gone over them. That's why I put it at a 4 because yeah, there's a couple of really bad ones, but as a whole, I think it's really well done. They all have their own shtick, almost to like a fault, where it's like, yep, this is that person's shtick, but they are unique that way.
I totally agree with that. Like, actually, wholeheartedly. I think most of the characters are good, if not exceptional. Like, that's really what carries the entire series. First 250 episodes, it's just characters. Like, that's what does it. Like, I'd even go as far as to say for me it's between a 4 and a 4.5. Sakura and Kabuto definitely bring it down for me.
It's just a shame that Sakura is supposed to be one of the main 3 characters.
I know. I just wish they wrote her as a main character. She could have been cool. Like, she didn't do anything useful until Shippuden. And even then, after the first arc, it was like, all right, goodbye, Sakura. We redeemed you. Now go forth and be Nurse Joy.
I think Sakura had one useful moment at episode 450 of Shippuden, somewhere in there, and that is it for me. Otherwise, I'm like, you are such a useless character.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, no, the 450s is Itachi's story. Like,
oh, is it? I can't remember exactly where.
But it's
I just remember towards the end.
Yeah. What are you thinking, Sony? What are you thinking? Characters.
Characters wise, I actually do agree with you guys. I honestly like remembering all the facts and every single all my history. There wasn't too many characters I actually did hate, just like Kabuto, and I always hated Sakura, of course. There's moments like I hate Ino and stuff like that, but like honestly, generalizing, the majority of the characters I enjoyed. I liked their build and like their progression and like their background. Like everything is pretty good about them. You get emotionally attached to each one of them too. So I would agree with 4 makes sense for me for this one.
You know, there's one thing I have to say though about Naruto and Sasuke that just by the end of Shippuden, I was so sick and tired of. The fact that Naruto was just like, nope, gotta save this guy, even though he's like murdered innocent people and like blah, 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 we gotta bring him back. And Sasuke just being the eternal
Emo boy.
eternal edgelord, just like I don't know, like
he's the OG
edgelord. I got really sick of it by the end of those shows. Like, sure, Sasuke kind of turned around by the end and he showed up at the wedding. Yeah, I don't know.
But
started to grate on me.
Naruto is such a strong character, though. I think
his
growth that it's like
Yes.
When you have that such a bright light of a main character, it can kind of gloss over quite a few rough spots. But yeah, that's what
for sure.
But Brett,
for sure, I think like great characters are like Kakashi, Sasuke, Naruto, even Rock Lee, Naruto, Tsunade, Jiraiya. Like, I think those are all great characters. Good characters, I think like Shikamaru is a really good character. Orochimaru in Naruto is a good character. Sarutobi, the third Hokage, is a good character. Then I think there are a couple okay characters, just like half decent, like they're fine, they're there, they exist. Like I'm gonna say it, Hinata.
Oh, she's mid.
She's fine in the OG Naruto.
Okay, in the OG Naruto, yes. But don't you dare jump on her like that in the Shippuden.
You wait, man. I hated her in Shippuden.
I
hated her in Shippuden.
She was more useless in Shippuden. I
She was
felt like
more useless in Shippuden than she was in Naruto.
I don't judge her character based on usefulness.
What did she do redeeming in Shippuden?
First,
She a good character.
because she was a character that inspired the main character in a realistic way.
A realistic way? They talked for like 10 minutes in the whole show.
Okay, well this is one of the few places actually where they're pulling on the filler from Naruto to build that relationship between him and Hinata, which I do not think was very
Then that makes me even more mad. You pull on filler? Put in the main show if it's that important. I like her even less now. Good job, Tyler.
That's fine.
You made me
That's
like her
fine.
even less.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, I think Hinata was just fine in Naruto. 10-10 was fine.
I think
Temari
Neji was a
fine.
good character.
Neji was cool.
I like Neji.
Neji was good. Anyway, another good character or decent character. What's his name? Oh gosh.
What does he look
dog.
like?
The dog guy.
Oh,
Kiba?
Kiba.
Kiba. Thank you. Kiba and Choji were good, decent characters. Anyway, okay.
4.
I think 4.
I believe 4. But Brett, when you said like Naruto was always doing the same thing, Sasuke was always being edgelord, they're always consistent.
They're consistent, but I would say that makes them slightly unreasonably static. But they're very dynamic characters, so I can't really throw shade. Like honestly, they're really good characters. It just personally grated on me because I was just so sick of watching 500 episodes of the same thing. So that was more of a personal thing. But technically, I think they're great, exceptional characters. So we are giving the OG Naruto a 4 for characters. All right, we are on to the delivery, which includes translation, voice acting for sub and dub, script, and edit. We have terrible. The delivery is frequently cheesy, unbalanced, inappropriate, incoherent, and bland. Exceptional. The delivery is always believable, balanced, genuine, understandable, elevating, and enriching.
Oh, I've got my score already.
Oh my god.
Well, how about you maybe start with like some points first this time?
Okay, so
start a conversation for us.
Okay. So I think delivery is where it really just falls flat, right? Like, you're looking at frequently cheesy, inappropriate, not necessarily inappropriate, but there's a lot of incoherent, bland, as in, we talked about this, the action sequences in a show about action get bland. Like, it just fits the first two, like 1 to 2. Like, you look at it, like, it's like there are a lot of really cheesy moments where you're just like, oh, okay, like a little bit cringe even.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that on the flip side of the coin, which by the way, I completely agree with you. On the flip side of the coin, I think there were a couple vocal performances that stood out for being really good. We talked about Jiraiya. Like, I can still call out his voice actor from any show. Like, Bridget and I were watching a show the other day, and I was sitting there, and I was actually tired. I was kind of like nodding off, and I was like, "What? That's the voice actor for Jiraiya in Naruto." She was like, "Cool." I was like, "I know that guy." And there were a couple others that I think Itachi's voice actor was also really good.
I think Naruto's voice actor really grew with it to the point that I'm pretty sure that they were in Darling in the Franxx. Because they did kind of finally eventually get the tone they wanted. I think at the beginning they kind of were a little bit all over the place, but by the end you're like, yep, they finally have figured out what they want to do with Naruto.
I agree with that. Yep.
For like Naruto's voices and stuff like that, like for me, I always like, I don't know why they do this a lot, but like for like young boy characters, they always have to use a old woman's voice, and like
I know
it always like bugged the heck out of me because like growing up with Dragon Ball Z, like Goku was couldn't stand his voice for a bit, and like I kind of like tolerated the dub for his voice because it made him more his age, and because like
Yeah.
Gohan had a more mature voice than Goku, which is like that's his son, his child son that had a more mature voice than him, and like
Yeah.
I don't know Naruto. It's like the era of they're trying to move on from this. I know they're trying to move on for this, but like I know like Naruto and what's the other show I was talking about?
Wasn't the voice actor
One
for
Piece?
Naruto in her 20s?
Naruto. Let's see. Naruto.
Are we talking about the sub or the dub? Just to be clear.
Subbed?
I thought she was kind of youngish.
She's born in 1972.
So she would have been, I guess, in her 30s when the show
Yeah.
first came out.
Yeah,
Should've been
playing
about 30.
a like 12-year-old boy.
I mean, to be fair, I couldn't make myself sound like a 12-year-old boy. I don't know a lot of like 30-year-old dudes that could make themselves sound like a 12-year-old boy.
I mean, but there's like child voice actors and stuff like that too.
Ooh, that's a dangerous territory to tread.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, but to Sony's point, like
I know they do it with
I
One
totally
Piece
get where he's coming
too.
from, because they even did the same. They do the same thing with the English dubs as well.
Oh my
Like,
god.
nothing against I think it's Molly Flanagan who did the voice acting for the dub. Nothing against her, but like an old lady doing.
She's literally a grandma.
12-year-old boy
Like
voice.
I was like,
Yeah.
I like Naruto, like subbed, like listening to Japanese. And, like I was like, it grew on me. It made sense in my head. But like whenever like I watched subbed first, and when dub came, and after like a couple years when I went into high school, my friends started to like Naruto too. I was like, they're watching it dubbed, and I'm like, why does Naruto sound like an old grandma?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, if I'm thinking about the gambit of characters, I mean, for me, I know, Tyler, you said you had a score, but I'm honestly just thinking Naruto's just the delivery part is just like this is a 3. It's just a solid meh. Like, there's some good.
I was
there's
going
some
1.5.
bad. Oh, dang.
I think
I don't know if I go that low.
I was thinking
I think-
two.
I think Jiraiya's voice actor means that it doesn't get a 1. Like, I don't know. I just am like the delivery was just like the art story characters all good, at least good for me. But man, it was you take all of this great stuff and you deliver it in a pile of crap. I don't know. It's just like
How many times we had sexy jutsu done?
Okay, not enough times. Not enough.
Yeah, I'm.
Hey, there is
Yeah.
one thing to say about it. I can't think of a single time where they had a beach episode. No obligatory beach episode, I don't think.
Hmm.
So I guess maybe that's a point. But yeah, no, I give it a very low score on delivery. I think it's by far its weakest point. It's why I don't really want to watch it again. Like,
I'm looking through the cast again, right? And the characters that stand out for having what I thought was good voice acting, I think Orochimaru's voice acting, I think, was actually really, really, really good.
mhm.
Orochimaru, Rock Lee, Guy Sensei, Orochimaru, Kakashi.
Kakashi's voice actor is really good.
I just
Gaara
don't know
and
what else he's
Itachi.
really good in. That's besides.
I saw him in something and I can't remember what it was, but he was
But
good
Those
in
stand
the
out
other
as being
show.
good, but I'm actually going to agree that the main 3 characters had the worst delivery of the whole show, pretty much.
I actually,
Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto.
I kind of like Sasuke's delivery though.
Really?
He
I
was
didn't
going
have a
for that
bigger problem with
edgelord
Sasuke.
thing, yeah.
Yeah, he did
But,
fit
like-
the edgelord bit.
Like he gave off the edgelord, and he succeeded as the edgelord.
To like a... Yeah, okay. I
He's
agree.
he's the only one I like that actually
I think-
fit his
And
overall.
then with Naruto's voice actor, I think I am with you all the way up until about a third of the way through Shippuden, where I feel like it really clicked for the voice actor, and then they felt more consistent and less like annoying. But yeah, I
Mhm.
think in just Naruto, I think the Naruto's voice actor, Sakura's voice actor. There's just so many that I was just like, I would rather not listen to your voice right now, but the dub is even worse.
Yeah, the dub is nothing. Again, we're not making judgments on any of the voice actors. We're just saying the performance in the show came across sometimes cheesy, unbalanced, inappropriate, incoherent, and bland.
Yes.
I'd go down to a 2.
Okay. I will come up to a 2.
I'm at
Tony?
a 2. I was at a 2.
You're at a 2?
I was
Okay.
at a 2.
All right, we've given it a 2, so we have finished our technical rubric for OG Naruto. We have art 4, story 3, characters 4, and delivery 2, which gives us a final score out of 10 of 6.5.
Wow, I'm surprised it's actually up pretty good.
6.5. So, where does that put us in terms of our podcast? Like, where does it fit? Naruto OG actually sits in the bottom 5 shows.
Wow.
For technical rating, it's in the bottom 5. It is
does
tied with Cells at Work and Bell. You know, this feels bad. I feel like we're gonna get some hate on this episode.
Well, see, that's the thing, is it has an X factor to it that you can't
It does.
really quantify. So I think if you're looking at, like, on paper, yes, it's a 6.5, but just watch it.
Yeah, and yep, watch it and skip the filler. Yep, but it's tied with Cells at Work and Bell. And again, I think it's not because of it being technically bad. Like, let's take Bell, for example, the movie. It got a 4.5 for art. Near perfect score. It got a 4 for delivery. But the other things were 2s. So it was just a split show. And Naruto's kind of the same way. Like, the characters are high, the art is high. It's just a couple other scores that bring it down. So
Right.
yeah, I think we can confidently stick with our score here of 6.5.
Agreed.
And actually, funnily enough, that's like the same as our enjoyment. Well, my enjoyment 6.5, you guys 7. So we give it pretty much the same average for both.
Fair.
Interesting.
Yeah, half a point for that X factor of just watch it.
Okay, we'll give it half a point of just watch it. So it's
not
a 7,
necessarily.
So we've got,
Well, it doesn't have to be in the technical one. I just mean, like, when I give it a 7 and it's a 6.5, I'm giving it that half a point.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, we don't have
Yeah,
to.
I go with 7 because it matches my enjoyment.
Okay,
But-
so that's our score for Naruto. Next week, I think, is going to be a super spicy episode when we cover Shippuden. We've already uncovered a little bit of controversy in today's episode. Next week's going to be spicy, so tune in next week. But in the meantime, if you enjoyed Naruto or you enjoyed listening about our discussion about Naruto, guys, what do we think the listeners should watch if they enjoy? What else should they watch?
Shippuden.
Whoa, okay, hold on. Shippuden, okay, watch Shippuden. Maybe don't even watch Naruto at all. Watch Shippuden. Sony, what were you gonna say?
Okay, I'm probably gonna recommend this again for Shippuden, but Jujutsu Kaisen.
Okay,
Ooh,
Jujutsu
yep.
Kaisen.
Because you got less annoying Naruto, less emo Sasuke, not useless Sakura. There you go.
Not as cool Kakashi, though.
I don't know. Gojo's pretty epic.
Gojo's cool, but Kakashi has that emotional factor,
Right. I mean,
man.
okay, if Gojo, if the Jujutsu Kaisen ever becomes a long-term anime, I feel like I would get emotional to that point, but Kakashi has so much more episodes entwined in my soul. But he's cool in his own way.
See, for when I saw that, by the way, I love Jujutsu Kaisen. I agree with that recommendation. But when I saw that character, I was like, oh, they're trying to recreate Kakashi. That was literally my first thought.
Yeah.
I was like, they're just trying...
I mean, it's the same concept. You gotta... I don't want to
Yeah.
spoil anything. Never mind. Just kidding. But, like, it's the same concept. It's the 3 characters and Kakashi.
Yep.
A character...
But the animation is way better.
Yeah. I mean...
the fight scenes are bar none.
I
like,
mean,
so good.
it's almost 20 years later.
I was gonna say it almost is like 20 years of animation
Oh
technology
yeah.
did a lot.
Okay.
Totally.
But
Totally.
yeah,
Okay.
no.
All right. What else? Tyler. What recommendations do you got?
Maybe controversial, but when I finished Naruto and felt like I still needed a fix, I went to Fairy Tail.
Okay.
I think it fits a lot of similar like if you are just watching Naruto and you're like, heck yeah, brother, then yeah, go watch Fairy Tail. It'll be right up there with you.
Yeah. Another long form show. There's I can't remember who, but there's someone who has seen Fairy Tail 5 times. I wish I could remember who that was.
I didn't say 5 times. I said 4 times.
Okay, 4 times. You've all of Fairy Tail 4 times.
It wasn't like all. It was like up to the current.
Okay, right, because you started over and right.
Right, like up to like the second, like the 5th arc, up to the 8th arc, and up to like the the final. I actually didn't watch that one again, but yeah.
Okay, so I think 2 people are saying Fairy Tail. I'm gonna add one. I'm gonna say Hunter x Hunter.
Oh, I do. Oh,
I do love Hunter.
the
x Hunter.
end. Oh, the ending on that show. I can't recommend that show to anyone.
Why?
I hate the ending. I hate the ending. But watch Hunter x Hunter because if you like Naruto, here's the similarities I'll give. Long form, multi-100 episode story that takes a tell, really clear magic system, great animation, like actually really good fight scene animation. Characters carry a lot of it. The show like evolves over time, like the actual mood and tone of the show starts out as like a Pokemon Digimon adventure and then turns into like a basically almost horror level thing. Anyway, long form, characters, good magic system. I'm gonna recommend Hunter x Hunter.
I have one more, and it's a tentative recommendation because they've only done 1 season. But Tower
Okay.
of God has Jiraiya's voice actor.
Oh,
I think it has the potential to go there.
okay.
Okay. I have one more. Black Clover. It is Magic Naruto.
Okay.
I haven't
That's it.
seen that one. I will go look at that one.
It's just Naruto. You got annoying, loud brat too. Less emo Sasuke. Less useless
Alright.
Sakura too. Yep. Oh yeah. Actually no, it's just the same thing as Jujutsu Kaisen, but it's magic instead.
Okay. I'm gonna do one more. One more. I'm just trying to pick between.
Bleach. Okay.
Jeez.
Actually, sure. Bleach, Dragon Ball Z. Like
I was gonna say like any
go
shonen.
go for the old classics.
I mean, if you like the classics, go for the classic. Yeah.
Go to Crunchyroll, click categories, go shonen, start from the top.
There is a new season of Bleach coming this month.
Yeah. Bleach, 1,000-Year Blood War. We're actually going to be covering that on this podcast after it comes out. We'll have a bonus episode, so keep an eye out for that one.
Ooh. I kind of want to be part of that one.
Do it. Yeah, join us, Sony. Join us as a guest on that episode.
Bleach is one of my top 10 animes of all time.
Okay, I'm gonna recommend this one. I'm gonna recommend Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. If you like Naruto, mostly because again, characters carry it. Story is super good. Magic system is clearly defined, if not frustrating. Yeah, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Okay.
And I'll also throw out there one that I realized was made in the same year as Naruto Shippuden is Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. If you want to go for classic old school anime, like we mentioned, Bleach, Dragon Ball Z, Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell, though. Oh, there's Inuyasha came out the same year, right?
Inuyasha. Yes, thank you. Inuyasha. We mentioned that earlier on the episode too. Okay. Any other final recommendations from you guys?
That's I mean, there's so much they can handle.
Yeah, that's true.
True.
You've already got 400 or whatever episodes of Shippuden. We'll take it easy on you.
Yeah. Okay, well, everyone already knows what we're doing next week. We're covering Naruto Shippuden. So we will get caught up, get refreshed, and ready for next week's episode. Again, Tyler and Sonny will be joining us next week. Thank you guys for joining us this week. And thank you all for listening. Remember to check us out on 310anime.com, 310anime.com. And until next time, Johnny.
Bye.
Bye.